Mark and I first met in 2013. We started dating at the end of July, so we've been together now for about 4 years. Before I met Mark, I'd never really competed in anything previously, but he kind of introduced me into the idea of competing in powerlifting and competing in arm wrestling. Made me feel like that was something that I was actually capable of and that I could become good at. We've both been competing since 2014. We were together for almost a year before our first competition in Willamina. The US Open is a really well-known tournament. There's usually some big names there. It's usually considered a pretty big deal if you're able to place or even win the US Open. Last year, I had gone to the US Open not to compete in the tournament, but to compete in a super match against Shauna Rubin, and I actually won that super match. So it was kind of a nice experience to be able to see what that tournament was like. We're expecting some good pullers.
Big ass shoulders.
Watch your fullback. Watch your fullback.
Okay, Ryan Lance, take over lead. Ryan Lance.
And a pretty good turnout. Bill Collins always puts on a really good tournament. Great guy, and he's done a lot of great things for the sport, so we're happy to go and support that as well. Mark's biggest strengths in arm wrestling would be his background in strength sports in general. He's been able to build a lot of strength just through powerlifting, and before that even football. I think that his force and his power that he'll bring to the table, it's on a whole nother level. So if he can learn to get his technique perfect and what works perfect for him as far as that goes, then his strength is going to be unstoppable.
I chose the US Open as my first tournament back. Number one, because I really enjoy Bill Collins, all of Bill Collins' events. US Open is actually probably one of the best, if not the best, arm wrestling tournament in the Pacific Northwest. You know, I want something that if I win and am successful in this, then I know that I'm going in the right direction, and I know that that I've improved pretty significantly on the table, and that what I'm doing in my training and what I'm doing in my research is working, and to continue that and to build on that. This particular tournament coming up, I'm not going to put stress on myself. I don't expect to win it. I'm just going to do as best I possibly can. I want to see that I've utilized all the new strength that I've worked so hard for, over the last 16 weeks. My goal this year is to get stronger continuously throughout the year. For that to happen, I need to pick and choose my competitions wisely and have enough resting and training time between each competition. I just want to improve and progress and continue to see that progression increase. At every tournament. This is a pretty big investment. Anyone who's going to be a full-time arm wrestler, it's an investment in their life. If you want to be good, you're going to have to put the time in, training, research, and table time in. So it can be a full-time job almost. And I'm blessed enough in my life to where I'm able to dedicate a lot of time toward arm wrestling. So my goal would be to see that improvement, not progress, increase until I reach the highest potential that I'm able to.
Of all the super heavyweights that will likely be at the US Open, I believe the biggest threat starts with the Mackin brothers. David Mackin is arguably the fastest super heavyweight arm wrestler in the Pacific Northwest. And maybe the fastest in the whole Western region. Catching that hit is not an easy task. Darren Mackin has the biggest and maybe the strongest hand out of all the Mackin brothers. Establishing hand control would be a top concern. And then there's Big Daddy Devin Mackin. Devin would be my front runner to win the Supers this year. This dude is like a 300-pound freight train on the arm wrestling table and has been one of the top arm wrestlers in the Pacific Northwest. Outside of the Mackin brothers, it doesn't get any easier. David Lopez is a 6'3", 290-pound strongman that's been steadily climbing the ranks in the sport. It's only a matter of time until he's one of the best in Washington. My friend and teammate Ryan Lance is a quiet powerhouse that should never be taken lightly. His hook and wrist strength is enough to give anyone their run for the money. Chris DeLong is a fellow Oregon super heavyweight and is probably the biggest arm wrestler that will be at the US Open this year. This guy's hands are like frying pans, and he has the lumberjack strength to back it up. Finally, the Ultra Beast, Will Dinwiddie. In my opinion, Will is the most improved arm wrestler in the Pacific Northwest over the past year. He's established himself as one of Oregon's top super heavyweight pullers, and is my chief competition in the state.
Oh, okay, so you're popping on here every time.
My name is Will Dinwiddie, and I'm a gym owner and a professional arm wrestler. I've been arm wrestling for 3 years, but I originally started when I was 16. I not only compete in arm wrestling, I also compete in Moss wrestling. I compete in strongman as a middleweight and a heavyweight strongman. I compete in Highland Games as a thrower. I'm a Class B thrower. My accomplishments in arm wrestling include winning the 2015 Amateur World Championships in the 220 weight class, undefeated, both hands, alongside Mark winning the 242s, Mark Prickett winning the 242s. Long-term goals in arm wrestling is to eventually be the best heavyweight on the West Coast. It won't be easy, but at least for one time, 1 year, I want to be the best in the West. Time limits. I give myself time limits, the reason why is because I want to create a sense of urgency in my training. I want to make it to where I can't talk myself out of training because I have this goal that I need to hit by a certain date, and the only way I'm going to get there is if I don't miss training. And I keep doing well in tournaments, and so I have to be measuring things constantly through tournament testing, and then through training, weightlifting. Those numbers have to increase too. That's kind of like how me and Mark do it. But a lot of people have had a lot of criticism about that. But we're winning tournaments, and so that's what ultimately matters, is who's winning. And so it's not just how much you arm wrestle, it's also where you're getting stronger. If you're working on the weak points, that's really how you're going to get to be your best. Is you have to weight train also and arm wrestle. You know what I'm saying? You can't just do one without the other and expect to be the best. I feel like you have to do it both. The U.S. Open is a big show. It attracts some of the best arm wrestlers on the West Coast. You get guys coming up from California, from Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Montana. You get people flying in sometimes from across the East Coast and stuff. But you get some of the best top arm wrestlers at the U.S. Open because it's a big tournament. It's definitely a regional tournament, it rivals the national championships. I feel like, because of the quality of competitors and the amount of people that compete. You get a lot of people competing. And it's a big show. It's a great show. Bill Collins puts on a great show because he always has T-shirts for everybody. The medals are really nice. It's really well ran. The tables are great. The refs are great. Nobody's perfect, but they're the most consistent like promoters and refs since I've been in the sport that I've come across, you know, like, and I've come across a lot, and there are a lot of good refs out there, but those are the ones that I've seen consistently doing it, you know. And so Chris and Bill, like, they have a top-notch show. They run an A+ tournament, you know. About my thoughts on winning the U.S. Open, I wouldn't go to a tournament like that if I didn't believe I could win it. The top guys that I have to be able to beat, that I'm really excited to go up against, you know, or the Mackin brothers from Washington. There's Mark Prickett, if he comes, from Bend. You got Ryan Lance, also from Bend, if he comes. He's a good left-handed guy, so he'll be good competition for me. There's a guy named Ernest, but I'm not sure if he'll be a super heavyweight or if he'll be in the lighter weight class. Ernest is good, but I can beat him every time now, so it doesn't matter to me if I go up against him. He's just another block I got to check off the list of wins to get to the top. David Lopez stands no chance against me left-handed. Right-handed is his only chance at me. But once I get my setup down and everything, once I figure my right out, he'll never beat me again. And I'm hoping that I can get that down this tournament, but I don't think I'm quite ready right-handed. But left-handed for sure, I can beat anybody. And so that's my goal, is to go there and beat everybody. That's what I do left-handed.